Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Tuesday talk on deciphering job postings. I'm Michael Robinson, the career coach here at Easterseals Veteran Staffing Network, VSN for short. I'll be your host and presenter. The job posting is key to writing a customized resume to pass the electronic and human screenings. If you don't, you won't get an interview. In this presentation, I'll share with you some methods to analyze job postings so you can craft a targeted resume that will help you in the next steps of your job search. But before we go any further, I'd like to tell you a little bit more about myself. I'm a retired Marine with the majority of my post-military career having been in HR. I've held positions as a hiring manager, recruiter, and career counselor. In my previous position, I worked as an employment facilitator for the Transition Assistance Program, also known as TAP, helping military members move into the civilian workforce. During that time, I taught more than 100 workshops to over 2,000 transitioning service members. Now, please allow me to introduce the VSN to you. The VSN staff understands the employment challenges veterans and military spouses face because we, too, are veterans and military spouses. We've matched over 2,700 qualified candidates with employers to fill temporary to permanent, contract, and direct hire positions. The fees from those placements are reinvested into the coaching services, allowing the VSN to have coached more than 12,000 veterans, wounded warriors, and military spouses. This leads me to where I fit in. Our career coaching isn't about just landing people a new job. It's about helping people discover what they need in work to be truly happy and contribute meaningfully so that they won't be looking for work for a very, very long time. Our process is to help people gain clarity on their career by understanding the core aspects of the employment process, what you see here on the slide. Then they can take control of their job search and reach their career goals. An area that we can help you in is how to better understand job postings. During your job search, please take a moment to answer this question. Most job seekers will claim that they read a job posting for 5 to 10 minutes before they decide. But in reality, research has found that on average, job seekers took less than a minute before dismissing a position as a poor fit and upwards up to a minute and 15 seconds before deciding if the position was a match to their interest and skills. My point to this is we should spend a little bit more time reviewing the information in a job posting before we decide on our next steps. What you see here are the results of a LinkedIn survey. Not surprising, compensation ranked at the top, followed by qualifications. What surprised me was where the company details ranked. In regards to compensation, prior to the pandemic, job postings very rarely listed salary, unless it was a state or federal government job. However, in this job market, businesses are finding not listing salaries can hurt their chances of attracting top talent. I know people who only search for jobs and apply to jobs with compensation listed, regardless of what the job title is. Speaking of job titles, let's start by dissecting the job posting covering that now. There are some career experts that will tell you job titles don't matter. It's the work that's important. And that might be true for some, but in the context of the job search, the job title is very important. In our past Tuesday talk, I talked about this in-depthly in how to optimize your resume. And our next Tuesday talk on how recruiters review resumes, I'll go even further about how important this is to your job search, so you don't want to miss that. Job titles allow people to know the responsibilities of the position, such as manager or director. They also allow people to better understand what the person does in the position, such as chef or an accountant, or both the experience level and responsibilities, such as lead accountant. Recruiters use these titles in the hopes that qualified people will apply to the jobs. So you'll need to understand the various job titles in your field and what they mean in terms of roles and responsibility. On the other hand, we solely can't count on job titles to accurately reflect what I just described, and here's why. A problem with relying on job titles is that many industries don't have standardized titles for specific functions. Job titles on job postings can be deceiving because the actual meaning may vary widely. Titles differ from company to company. A director in one company might be a lower management position and a senior management position at another. Skim through the entire job posting and pay attention to the years of experience the position requires. Depending on the job, a job title can describe the level of the position, such as a senior or junior, but the years of experience more accurately reflect the level as you see here on this slide. This could also be helpful in deciding if you're underqualified or overqualified. Applying to a job you're overqualified for is just as bad as applying to a job you're underqualified for. Additionally, there are companies that use creative job titles too, which we'll discuss now. Creative job titles can be fun to have. Who wouldn't want to be a people ninja anyway? Unconventional job titles have risen in popularity through the years, partly to appeal to candidates from Generation Z and the millennials. As younger generations make up the majority of today's workforce, companies look for ways to connect with them. One effort is to create job titles that keep up with today's pop culture. Companies believe that it will attract young, creative minds to join their company and continue to push their company's evolution. Alternatively, research projects have shown that employees that pick their own job titles, it leads to them being more energetic and productive. Creative or trendy job titles are fun, interesting, and can inspire confidence in whoever assumes them. It might also help reflect the company's culture as a way of showing job seekers their personality. By veering away from the traditional job titles, the company is saying we're modern, fresh, and unique. Using creative job titles can help the job posting stand out from the rest, so more people will notice it as part of a strategic recruitment process. This can make the difference in attracting the right talent and help determine the quality and quantity of applications. Next, we'll talk about how to use job titles in your job search. Whether you're looking for a very different opportunity or staying with the same track, an early part of your job search should include identifying potential and related job titles. This research will help you understand what other information you'll need to gather during your search. It will also give you a better sense of what's going on in the marketplace. You'll waste less time down the road investigating alternative job titles and be more organized and efficient as you look for new opportunities. Job titles are key in your search terms that you'll be using in your job search. Try collecting 5 to 10 job postings to compare responsibilities and requirements. Then narrow down your interest based on those responsibilities or the job level. Try different variations of the job title to see which generates the best results. For example, automotive mechanic or automotive service technician. Take a look at other websites that will be helpful, such as myskillsmyfuture.org. This is a very simple tool from the U.S. Department of Labor. Lastly, LinkedIn is a great tool. Use this to search job titles of members and learn if the job title is relevant or appropriate for you. From here, we're going to move to the company description. While it ranked low on LinkedIn's survey, it's worth reading when evaluating a job posting. The company description is a summary that usually provides a glowing overview of the company and general description of the job. The summary is valuable to read as it provides perspective on how the company markets itself and the role. This is helpful and you determining if this is the type of job and company you might be interested in working for. This description of Big Bucks Nissan is generic on purpose. It's trying to present a general profile of the ideal candidate from a behavioral side, but doesn't get into the nitty-gritty technical details. Read these and take it as a guideline to calibrate whether your personality and general background are a match for what you're looking for. Normally, after the company description comes the responsibility section. Job responsibilities are what an organization uses to describe the work and functions that an employee needs to perform in a particular role. Organizations include job responsibilities on the listing so that they can communicate the type of skills and experience they are seeking from the candidates. Outlining job responsibilities help candidates understand how each task factors into the success of the company. With a clear responsibilities list, you know which duties you can expect to perform on a regular basis and the standards the company has set for their employees. The most important duties are usually ranked first, and then the following are ranked by order of importance. If you possess direct experience in any of these areas, it will help you in your overall application. Generally speaking, if an employer finds a candidate who ticks all the experience boxes in terms of day-to-day functions, they're going to give that individual a deeper look. Interpret these as the employer providing you with guidance on what qualifications and past experience you should highlight in your cover letter and resume. Following responsibilities is the qualifications section. The qualifications section is the meat of the job. It may include various educational qualifications, certifications, and licensing, and also require years of experience needed to perform the duties. It could include the minimum competencies, which include knowledge, skills, and behavior that is required for the completion of the job. Now, there is a general consensus among employment experts that you only need to meet 40 to 60% of the requirements in most cases. Exceptions to this are state and federal jobs where you'll need to meet 100% of the minimum requirements. Employment research shows that meeting more than 60% doesn't necessarily improve your chances of getting an interview. Not all job requirements are weighted the same. Often job listings include a long list of requirements, some of which are much more important than others. Candidates don't need to meet every requirement to be considered for the job. Employers may choose candidates who excel in certain areas but are lacking in others. When creating the job listing or the job posting, employers have an imagination of an ideal candidate, but they may never find someone who meets all those qualifications. Therefore, during the application process, be sure to emphasize the qualifications you have. So you might be asking, well, which ones are the most important? Typically, knowledge-based and hard skills are the must-haves. Let's dissect some phrases you might see in the requirement section. Anything you see under required skills is considered an essential component of the right candidate, and to have a fighting chance for the position, you're going to need to have it. Required skills and qualifications are the minimum levels of abilities, the must-haves, to do the most basic task for the job. Preferred skills, these are the nice-to-have attributes that may not be mandatory but are definitely a desire in the ideal candidate. They might include additional education or experience, a background in a specific industry, or a familiarity with a certain type of technology. Desired qualifications, this is the icing on the cake kind of skills that an employer really wants from a candidate. If you have a sufficient number of desired skills, then you may be considered for various other jobs in the future that require similar skills and qualifications. I want to take this time now to turn our focus to the different terms we may encounter regarding experience. Relevant experience is a term that refers to the tasks and duties of a previous job that make you qualified for a new role. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have had to have done the same work or had the same job title. If you've held other positions, other unrelated jobs, internships, volunteer work, and freelance projects, these are all sources of relevant experience. A related field means a work or study program that had similar training curriculum but is referenced by a different name. For example, a auto body repair technician can easily become an auto insurance claim adjuster. Demonstrated proficiency is your proven ability to do something. Employers are looking for evidence of your ability in the past. You should definitely have a clear example or two of how you demonstrated your skills in your resume. When an employer mentions equivalent experience in a job posting, it can mean either experience in place of some educational requirements or non-paid experience. It can include work as an intern, volunteer, or part of a work-study program. There really isn't a standard for what's considered equivalent experience. What's acceptable will be determined by the organization or employer that's doing the hiring. Here are some examples on the slide of education and experience equivalency. In many cases, while a degree is preferred, some combination of coursework and experience, or else extensive related professional experience, may be acceptable for consideration. This particularly applies to military candidates whose training and professional experience in the armed forces are often translated as equivalent experience. While it's not talked about here, the federal system, the education to experience conversion normally is 9 months of coursework to substitute 1 year of work experience. All of these elements of education, work experience, and other qualifications have a market rate that the employer is going to value in the form of a salary or compensation. To be competitive, the employer must balance what other employers are paying and what they can afford. If you recall earlier, we discussed and talked about salary on job postings. I'd like to explore this topic a little more now. Does anyone recall what the pay range for the automotive technician was? If you said 42 to 120,000, you're correct. That's a pretty broad range, so it could indicate that the employer is open to paying top dollar for the talent. I was wondering if a position like that would pay 120,000. So I went to salary.com to see if I could make 120,000 with the qualifications mentioned in the job posting. Using a baseline for someone classified as an automotive technician / mechanic 3, non-supervisory with a high school diploma or technical certification, who has 3 to 4 years of experience in Norfolk, Virginia. And it turns out, according to pay scale, that they could make upwards up to 54,000. Just so you know, we have an upcoming webinar on how to perform salary research, so stay tuned for more to come on that. We need to be aware that most employers advertise between the minimum and midpoint based on years of experience, education, and other factors. Even without the salary listed on the job announcement, you should be aware and do your salary research for the position to generally know what would be paid in the location you're looking for work in. While salary is important, it's not as critical as using keywords. Keywords are words or short phrases that relate to a particular requirement for a job. They are the knowledge, skills, abilities, credentials, and qualities that a hiring manager is looking for in a candidate. The closer a match, the better your chances are that you can be selected for an interview. There are a few different types of keywords we should be aware of. Job-specific skills. These are hard skills needed to perform the basic functions of the job. There's transferable skills, skills that can be used in almost any job. There are also adaptive skills. These are soft skills or our survival skills, basically how we relate to others. Take the following example in this slide. Highlighted in yellow, you can see all the job-specific skills. I've highlighted communication in green as a transferable skill, but it also falls into the adaptive category because it's a soft skill and it's vital to relations not only with customers but also coworkers as well. On this slide, written in orange is the adaptive skill team player, and once again highlighted in green is communication. Team player is a recruiter's polite way of saying they want someone that, well, can play well with others. If it's clear that the position has a lot to do with teamwork as part of the job description, referencing some of the teams you've been a part of and what you've accomplished in those teams on your resume and in the interview, of course. It's generally a good idea to show that you have experience as a participant on a team, as well as a leader or a go-to person of a team. At its most basic level, the phrase good communicator just means that the company wants someone who can read and write well, a point that you'll want to demonstrate with the quality of writing in your resume and your cover letter. And the way you handle yourself in the interview is also a better way of showing good communication skills. This example of this job post we are referencing was pretty clear in the type of person they're trying to recruit. But what about those postings that aren't so clear? Be aware of unicorn job postings, the infamous entry-level job that requires 3 to 5 years or more of experience, which can signal an unwillingness to train employees or to pay experienced professionals less than what they're worth, qualities you don't want to have in an employer. Job descriptions with a laundry list of requirements can signal a hiring manager who has unrealistic expectations. Once you've determined the job sounds interesting, investigate the company, its products, its services, learn about its customers, and read those customer testimonials. Conduct your due diligence before you apply. Take these steps here. Ask people in your network about the company. Look for articles and news articles and other articles written by the company or about the company. Check Glassdoor for those employee reviews. Those are very insightful as to maybe what kind of environment this company, what kind of culture they have. If you discover news about the products and services or a specific industry match, be sure to put that in your resume. Something, especially if you have worked with that company's products before, and that just helps out a little bit more. The whole idea is to find that intelligence that will enable you to convey how you are a match for the role and to show your interest into the company. Something else to be aware of are job postings that promise that you can make large amounts of money with little work, or ask you to send your resume without any specifics about the role itself. Sounds a little bit more like a scam. The job market is hard enough to navigate without having to worry about some job posting turning into a scam or it just being a dead end. Save your precious time and energy. Be on the lookout for these simple signs that something just isn't right. If the job posting has sloppy language, if it's not well written with a lot of spelling and grammatical errors or words out of order, that's a red flag. A real job posting will be professional and polished. If everything about the job is vague, you can't tell what exactly you would be doing at the company, or a bigger problem is you can't tell what the company does, stop right there. Leave that one alone. That one should go to the no pile automatically. The company has no online presence. When you're doing your due diligence and you try to verify that the company and the job listing and nothing's showing up in your Google searches, you can stop right there. Step away. Legit jobs always have some sort of online trail. Requesting personal information and payment information often points to a scam. The Department of Justice just released a published article that since the beginning of the year, job seekers have lost and have been scammed out of $26 million. That's $26 million. The bottom line is keep an eye out for these and other warning signs, but the best alarm system is your own gut. If something doesn't seem right or seems off, let it go. It's probably a scam. There are other jobs out there. Once you have determined that the job is legitimate, now you have to understand whether or not you're going to be a fit for the role or not. Don't apply to jobs when you are struggling to decide if you are interested. Of course, everyone's circumstances are different. Nonetheless, do your best not to apply to that position if you know you're not going to be a fit. Also, be sure you're comfortable with the top 3 or 4 of the duties, because more than likely this is going to take up the majority of what you're going to be doing on a daily basis. Make sure that you meet at least 50% of the elements in the requirements. For that position to be ideal for you, you're going to want to be able to make sure that your abilities and skills are going to match that job. And then lastly, ask yourself, are you going to be excited to receive a call back from this company about this position? That's usually going to be the determining factor of whether or not this would be a good fit for you. Next, as you figure that this position is a fit for you, you begin the application process. Always follow the instructions on how the company would like you to apply, plus whatever materials or information need to be included with your application. Follow this as closely as you can. Read the application instructions very carefully. Some companies will toss applications who don't follow instructions, so you never know. And then instructions may direct you to another site or a specific file format for your resume, and sometimes the company may even instruct you to submit a sample of your work as well. Some postings have at the bottom, only qualified candidates will be contacted, or do not contact us, we'll contact you, as a statement. So be sure that once you submit your application, and if you're not hearing anything back, if you haven't saved this job posting, then you may inadvertently get yourself rejected because you may call them or contact them and it states specifically, don't do it. That's one means of getting rejected as well. The bottom line here is when you're analyzing the job posting, you increase your odds at getting looked at if you follow the job posting instructions. Before we wrap things up, I wanted to invite all of you to our next Tuesday talk on how recruiters review resumes. If you found this session helpful, you won't want to miss this one. So feel free to register once we're done here. Simply go to vsnusa.org and navigate to our events page. There you'll find it, and go ahead and hit that RSVP to go ahead and register. Also wanted to let you guys know about our upcoming sessions. As I mentioned, July 12th, how recruiters review resumes. On the 26th, we're going to be talking about designing effective resumes, as well as following that, busting common resume myths. This is a good one. I think most people have a good understanding of resumes, but there's a lot of misinformation out there as well. And then following that, we have writing effective cover letters, effective job search strategies, and then working with recruiters. Some key takeaways from today's session are: spend more time analyzing the job posting to determine if your qualifications are a match and the position is of interest. Do your due diligence to research the company and make sure that you're a fit and it's not a scam. Lastly, Follow the application instructions so that your application can be processed. Well, this brings us to the closing of today's video. I wanted to thank you for viewing it. Here's my contact information if you have any questions or you'd like assistance with your career strategy or your job search. Please reach out. Feel free to email me, or you can visit us at vsnusa.org. Thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you in a live Tuesday talk. Farewell.